It's a little late in the day today, but why not start the next unboxing from the emergency storage shed? This is episode 21, week 21. We're going to target another couple of boxes and make some progress. Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. The door to my shed is just there. The pile of the contents of this shed starts here and it goes back probably about 25 feet to the other end wall because we're making a little bit of room in here now. What are we going to find this time? Well, there's two milk crates just here, actually down there. Books and something else down below. Let's get those done first. We'll try and knock them over quickly and we'll see what else we can drag out of here. Who knows? Could be some great treasures this time. Might be some junk. We'll work it out regardless. Let's bring these two milk crates through first and then we'll have a look at what's in them. This one appears to be mainly books, but you can get some pretty good treasures in boxes of books. This one's much lighter, so yeah, don't know. There's a soaker hose on top, so we'll probably use that in our garden here. I had to laugh recently. Someone commented on one of my videos and they said, hey, we're the milk company, we want our crates back. I thought that was kind of funny. I probably have, I don't know, there'd be nearly 100 of them here somewhere. They're really good storage because they stack so well. I haven't stolen them. They've just turned up when I've cleaned out people's sheds. I'm more than happy to give them back to any milk company that wants them. I'm certainly not going to try and sell them because I know that you don't actually own them. I have heard stories over the years of people getting nabbed at markets and actually fined for using milk crates. I think they're only stories. I've never ever really heard of anyone that I know that's been charged, but I certainly don't condone pinching milk crates, but you know, I've got them because I had to clean out people's sheds. So milk companies, you're welcome to come and grab them. Let's go through the books first and see what we've got in here. Okay, let's bring the book crate into vision for you. Now these books came from, the top one's pretty dusty. These books came from the house lot we did, which I did a playlist on called, I think it was the Great Radio Shed Clean Out or something. Most of my series seem to be great, or at least they are in my mind. And this guy, we got a lot of radio parts and there's some test equipment you've probably seen in the background and there's a lot of cool stuff and some of it's still stored in the emergency storage shed. And I did note at the time, if you haven't seen that series, that he was a very particular man who packaged a lot of stuff in bags and catalogued a lot of things. And it's so good to go through this sort of stuff because we sometimes clean out sheds where there's been mice through there or the books have been wet and they've had things spilt on them and it's just such a mess. Whereas this deal's been an absolute pleasure to go through and we found some pretty cool stuff. There's going to be a fair few milk crates full of these sort of things. I think there was a lot of railway magazines. What's this? Car radio has been produced. It's a owner's manual for a Holden car radio, and he's got written on here, Philips car radio, AM only, 1981 Holden Gemini SL, antenna trimmer adjusting tool. So there's an adjusting tool for the radio. I don't know it's going to have a lot of value, but with the book, that's pretty cool. We might even find the radio in one of these boxes. So, yeah, I was saying it's just a pleasure to go through this guy's stuff. He did look after his things very well. So we'll go through this crate fairly quickly. I'll research some of the books and I'll get back to you at the end with a list rather than just go through each one. We've clearly got some bird magazines here. They're 1990s. I don't know if they're going to have a lot of value. They'll probably sell okay through the shop and I'll probably just bunch them up in one lot. So they're all bird magazines. So we'll just make a few piles on the bench for now. He also did a lot with photography, and I think we got a couple of good cameras out of the cupboards too. Let's have a look in here. How to take good pictures. So I will check all. This is a photo guide by Kodak. He's got it dated 1982. So I will check some of these books online, just in case there's a rare gem that's worth putting on eBay. But most of them we'll probably put in our camera section in the shop. Using filters, great condition. Photographing with automatic cameras. So we'll make a pile of the camera stuff as well, and there's going to be some railway magazines, as I said. He had a lot of interests, this bloke. So I'll sort the books out and then I'll get back to you and show you what I found. It's the next day. I've had a chance to sort out all these books, and I've done a little bit of checking online to get some values. And as usual, I do very well out of books. There's some interesting stuff here. Let me take you through it. I've got a list. Let's show you the list. I got a total of about $300 out of this one crate full of books. It's always surprising. Nothing outstanding, but some good gear. So let's quickly go through them. The photography books weren't anything special. I've just gone $5 each. They'll go in the shop. The magazines, $5 the lot, I think, the bird magazines. The radio handbooks were pretty good. Most of these are for ham radio, and I think a lot of these ones were $2. I think I might have gone 20 on that, probably 20 on that. I did find examples of these online, and they're selling, and plus postage is fairly hefty on some of these books, so I reckon I'll get $20 each on those three without any problems. I did decide to keep some, and that $300 doesn't include what I'm going to keep. I thought I'd keep that little manual in case the radio turns up. There's some Valve data books here which I'm going to keep, and these did sell. In fact, I saw this one, I think a few of them sold for about $40 each or something. So I'm going to hang on to those. They've obviously got a use, and if I get myself more and more into repairing Valve radios and things, I might well need those. I can always sell them at a later date. So, you know, there's $50, $60 maybe worth of value there that I'm not even including. The railway magazines, and there was a Victorian Railways map. I think it's just a reproduction or a photocopy. I'll carry those over because I have a feeling there's some more railway magazines somewhere. And in this little bag we had some early, 1960s, early 70s Rotary Club of Tatura, just some newsletters and things. So I'll probably give them back next time I'm up in Tatura. Let's go through the rest of it. We had a coins book over here, which, interestingly, these two possibly could be good eBay items. I found a few copies of this book on the market or had been listed at over $100. They didn't sell, but I didn't find any others. So it may indeed be quite a scarce book. I've nominated $20 on it, but I reckon it would make more if I auctioned it. And this one I could not find any copies online. I think there might have been one somewhere, but it wasn't for sale. Often these local RAF or army type books, especially when they're concerning certain squadrons or what do they call them, battalions or whatever, often they can bring really good money to the right people. So again, I've just nominated $20 on that one. I think that's very conservative. I'll possibly put those aside to eBay, but I'm sure 20 is would be a piece of cake to get that for them. The fishing gear, there's heaps of fishing books, all written by the same guy, Lance Wedlick. I just allowed $5 each for most of these because there was a lot online. Some of them sold, and the bigger one here, I thought I went, I think I went 20 on that one. No, maybe not. Maybe I went 10. But it's a nice book. They're probably late 60s, I think, in very good condition. And we do get a lot of fishermen around this area, so I'm sure I'll sell those. These couple of books, Cruising the Coral Coast, it's about the Great Barrier Reef and the potential of aquaculture. I did find examples of those online that did sell. I think I went 5 and 10. Again, I could sell them online, but I'm not going to muck around for, low amounts. Now, the bulk of the smaller stuff, there was actually quite a lot of money in this purely because of the multiplication effect. These brochures and little slide rules, conversion thingos, I think this one's for metric conversion, yep. They'll get $5 each. A lot of these brochures I'll put in my folders that you saw me go through when I was opening that suitcase full of old ephemera. And I've actually sold a fair few of those. So that's a 1960s or maybe even 50s Black & Decker, basically a guidebook. That'll get $5 easy. A book on the coins and also a guide to grading them, that'll get $5. A few books on woodwork, and there's one on strawberry farming, 1950s, Department of Agriculture. One on looking after your lawns, again 1950s. A more modern one here on grafting and budding, but it's quite a good booklet. I think they'll get $5 each. I've rounded this figure down because, you know, realistically we're not going to sell everything at $5. These ones I didn't ever allow anything for. They're just various booklets. I think they were from a bank. Little flyer here on a vintage watch. Some tourist stuff from the 60s. Something that's probably with one of the newspapers as a giveaway. Bit of history. I didn't write down anything for these. I'm just going to put them in a $1 box. Someone might be really excited to get something like that for $1, but I'm quite happy to move them on. Now the maps, we had a lot of value in maps, and if we quickly look back at the list, I actually priced the maps out. There was 3 I reckon I'd get $10 for, and about 20 of them I priced at $5. That's 130 plus. There's a whole heap at $1 or maybe $2. I just rounded that down to 100, and as you can see with other booklets, 8 at $5 is $40. I just rounded that down to 20 just to be realistic. So I think our total is quite achievable. There were some really cool maps here. This one's I would say 1930s, judging by the car. A nice road map of Tasmania, and I did fold this out. It is in excellent condition, and it's even been folded up the right way, which is almost unheard of from a road map. An interesting one here on Port Phillip Bay. That's the bay that Melbourne's on, for any of you guys who aren't in Australia. So that's a boating and angling chart, and that's in good condition. There's some really nice vintage road maps here from various areas around Victoria. Some great advertising on them as well, and again they're in excellent condition. There's no insect damage, there's no bad creases, there's no mould, there's no mouse damage. That's a topographic map of the Otway Ranges and Colac. That's down southwest Victoria. And then we have, these would be all 1950s and 60s Victoria actual state maps, Melbourne, and then we have a whole heap of smaller ones for specific areas. Bendigo, Bellarine Peninsula, which is near Geelong. Another Geelong one. We have Echuca and Deniliquin, which isn't far from here. Colac, and a few other maps that are quite interesting too. Broadbent is well known as a map producer in the early days. Some great advertising. That would be 1950s. And that has a fold-out map inside. Again, in excellent condition. So I've put all these, I'm going to put all these in a separate folder at $5 a pick. I think they'll sell quite well, particularly people from these areas. There's a Pacific Ocean one. And this is cool. Let me just put the camera on the tripod and show you how this works. Okay, it's not particularly old. It's probably 1970s. It is in kilometres. But what it does, it's a ready reckoner for distances in Victoria. So if you slide the centrepiece out, you will see town names come up here. So we can slide it out, if I can do this without blocking our view. So that says Wangaratta, that says Warragul, Warrnambool, Tidal River, Wodonga. So we're obviously in the W's. Oh, there's Yarrawonga. Strange sounding names for you guys overseas, I bet. And every time you come to a town, there's a black dot appear on the map. So here we go. The black dot is over here, which is Wodonga. And what that does is all these little windows at all the other towns show a number. And that's how many kilometres it is from Wodonga. Isn't that cool? Look, it's probably not worth a great deal. And it gives you a miles to kilometres conversion on the back. So this obviously came out in the early 70s when we were converting to metric. Great little item. I think that's worth probably $10. And the rest of the maps here, I think I'll just put in a $1 or maybe a $2 box. We have just more plain maps, probably still similar age, probably 60s, early 70s, some of these, Central Gippsland, Geelong. So I don't see that these hold as much value as the other ones. And there's a large map of Australia there, which I think came from the Women's Weekly magazine. So not much value there. And I did not write anything down for those ones. So we've got some pretty good value, but mainly in the maps, but some great books to add up to a fair bit of money. Plus I've got to keep a few as well. So now the time's come to attack the other crate. There's nowhere near going to be as much value in this one, but let's have a look. As I said, the soaker hose, and if you don't know what a soaker hose is, it has a whole lot of little pinholes along it, and it's blocked at the end, so that when you plug it in and turn the tap on, it basically leaks all the way down the hose, and it's great for soaking large areas of lawn or garden. And I actually picked up this one a few years back when I had a nice strawberry patch at the shop. We will use that here, so no problems there. Okay, we have a plastic container here, which I used to keep scrap in. What's that say? Pewter. Okay, is it indeed pewter? Yes, it is. And that's actually good because I've got some pewter in the shed here that I've picked up at various places, and I am saving it up because I'm going to melt it. And not that I'm going to do castings with it, but I am going to perhaps melt it into ingots. I'll do a video on it at some stage, and we can sell ingots of pewter on eBay very easily for pretty good money, much better than we'd ever get putting this in the scrap, and much better than we'd get trying to sell pewter goblets in the shop, because they're pretty hard to sell. Most of the time they're quite damaged because pewter's very soft. You can see that's a bit out of round. Pewter has a very high tin content and it melts at a very low temperature, and consequently people do use it for castings, and it's easy to sell online as long as it's lead-free pewter, and most of it does say such on the bottom. So at some stage in the future I'll be melting all my pewter down into ingots and we'll be selling some online. So now I have a tub to put my other pewter in as well. Just got to find a spot to store that. So that's gone a long way to emptying this crate already. What do we have here? Oh, here's some scales that I bought years ago off of eBay, and I was using it to weigh buckets of scrap metal in the backyard at the shop. They did work quite well, although I did have some troubles with some cheap batteries in them once, and they did corrode, and I took the back plate off it, and I'm not sure where that went, but it did get some corrosion, and I can see one of those terminals still has a bit of corrosion there. Might need to get in and clean that up. But they work quite well. They weigh up to, I think they weigh up to 100 kilos, so they can handle a lot of weight. I'll probably just get them going again and use them in the shed. So that's fine. No value there to sell. Here we have some vintage, oops, where's that cord going? Some vintage Pioneer headphones. Model SE205. They're pretty cool looking. The foam's going to be no good. It breaks down with age. You can see it's just crumbling away there. The actual pads aren't so bad. They're a bit flat, but the covering on the pads looks okay. The headband looks okay. They would probably be quite sought after by vintage hi-fi people. Hang on. I think the batteries have come, the speakers have come loose inside. So we might have to look at repairing them. I will check the model number and see if they're worth spending a bit of time on. If it is, and if I decide to get motivated, I might do a restoration on them. We may just clean them up a little bit and sell them as they are for someone else to restore. So we'll check those out, and I'll let you know a value of what I think they're worth right now in this condition, but we will have to check eBay to see if we can find some information. We have a glass chrome cleaner concentrate. All right, that will be handy. I'll use that here. That's probably come out of someone's shed. And we have some tools. A 12-inch shifter, or 250mm. It's not quite 12 inches at Toledo. Yeah, it's not a bad, I forget where they're made, Japan. It's not such a bad shifter. It's not a super cheapie. That'll be useful here. If not, I would probably put $10 on that. A little bit of fine soapy steel wool will bring that up really nicely. A little bit of rust you can see on the chrome will pretty much disappear with steel wool. And in this, I think this might have been out of my car at one stage. So another little shifter. That's a different brand again. Heavy duty, 200mm, not sure where that one's made. But that one looks okay too. Needs a little bit of cleanup and a bit of lube. And this is a part of, and I think the rest of it's still in my ute. This is part of one of those jumper start kits. So I'll keep that because I need to put it all together because it is useful at times. That's the end of this crate. So we've actually got nothing to sell out of here, although I will check the price of these headphones. And given that I've got so many projects to do, I think we'll probably just clean them up and sell them as they are. So we'll get a price on these. The shifters I will keep because I'll leave some in each vehicle. So yeah, everything else is going to be useful. Okay, I'm back out in the shed this evening. We're going to finish off this episode. I cleaned up these Pioneer headphones. Didn't go to too much trouble. I just basically wiped the dust off them. I did pull the covers apart quickly and just re-glued the speakers. Both the speakers had come loose. There's nothing special in there. They're just two little tinny speakers, but they do work and they sound okay. I actually plugged them in and to my amp in the other room, and they sounded pretty good, but they are just basic speakers in a plastic housing. I checked eBay and there's quite a lot of this model out there, and most of them didn't sell. The occasional set with its original box made $30 or $40, but there was some on there for like $10 tested, working, and still didn't sell. But now that I've cleaned these up and I have tested them, I'm going to put them in the shop for $20. So a bit of value out of this crate, but that's all we're selling out of this crate. I'll add it to the list shortly. But just before we go, I'm going to push myself and let's go and get one more box. Yep, it's dark out there and it's getting cold outside. Well, it's been cold all day, but I thought I'd grab one more box. There's just some more books, so we'll go through these and see what other value we can get for this episode. Okay, I think there's a pretty big book, so it won't take long to go through this. Do we have anything good? Surprise and Enterprise, 50 Years of Science for Australia, CSIRO, which I think was Commonwealth Science Industry Research Organisation. I don't know, I'm just making up words that might work. Something like that. This is dated 76, so it's probably just a bit of a flyer for the government research department. Don't think it's going to have very much value. I will check eBay, but it'll probably just go in the $1 box or something. We knew he was into birds, so there's some nice bird books here. That looks like a fairly good quality book. Probably 60s again, I would say. It was $10.90 when he purchased it. 1962. So we'll check these again on eBay just quickly. Wildlife in Papua New Guinea. Australian water birds. I think there's a bit of a theme happening here. Birds in Bass Strait. The Atlas of Bird Migration. So they're pretty good books. They're almost like coffee table books. This one's even bigger again. Reader's Digest, Complete Book of Australian Birds. That'd be a great reference, particularly anyone who is getting into bird watching. Yeah, I reckon, without even checking, I think I'd have $20 on that in the shop. It's quite a thick, heavy book. And the last one, We Leave the Sky and Go Underwater. The Great Barrier Reef. This one's a little bit sun affected. But what date do we got here? 1986 reprint. Look, if nothing else, we tend to get $5 each for these larger books. People buy them for either their own hobbies or for their kids. So I will quickly check these and we'll just add to our list to finish off this video. So now the results are in for these extra books. I'm going to put 5 on that one. I did see a couple online. One seller was asking 45, the other seller was asking 25 plus postage. Some sellers, many sellers on eBay are very optimistic, but I think I'll probably get 5 for it. I've basically grouped these in price lots. I found multiple copies of every book online, or just on eBay, completed items, and a lot of sellers ask a lot, whereas we sell a lot of books because we don't get too greedy. $5, $5, $5. They'll sell fine. So that's $20 there for those 4. These lot, I went $10, $10, and $10. They should sell pretty easily, particularly that one. That's a 1990s. It's a very good book. But we don't get greedy with our prices and we turn stuff over quite well. So there's $30 there. And this big one, I'm probably going to go say 25. No, let's go 20. There was heaps of these online and they'd cost a fortune to post because they are a big book. And some sellers are incredibly optimistic and asking $100 or something. A few of them were selling. I saw one sell for 50, but there was lots of them that didn't sell. I'm happy to get $20 for it. So added that to our headphones. We end up with 70 for these extra books, 20 for the headphones, $390 back from, what did we do? 2 crates and a box. And that's going to bring our grand total for saleable stuff from out of that shed to $3,605. And plus we got some good value out of this lot for a few books that I'm keeping. And what else? Oh, we found some tools and things from the car. So it was a pretty good little cleanup. We did 3 boxes, made some good space. I hope you're not getting sick of these, and I hope I hope you enjoy the book ones, because books are a real cash cow for our business. They're so easy to make good money on. I appreciate that it's really hard to sell books online for a lot of people that do try. There are some gems, and every now and again you'll find a title that'll bring a few $100s, and postage isn't an issue. But for $5 and $10 books, postage is more expensive than the book, and it's very hard to sell them online. Whereas we have tourists come through our shop every day, and every day we're open. Hopefully they're not there when we're closed, and pick up books for their kids or as presents or something to read while they're away for the weekend. And we do really well out of books. And as you can see, we price them cheaply, but the multiplication effect comes into play, and we make some pretty good cash out of them. So another episode done and dusted. Thanks for watching, guys. This was episode 21. We'll get on to another one very soon. I'm going to try and do multiple boxes each time, just to get through the shed and make a bit of space. Catch you next time. Bye for now.